everybody, it's Amy, also known as Aussie Stitcher in Texas, here on YouTube and over on Instagram, here with you today with Flosstube number 14. I want to say a big thank you to my returning viewers and subscribers, and also a warm welcome to all of my new subscribers who have found me since my last video. Thank you for joining me here today. I really appreciate every view and like and comment that I get, so please keep them coming. Now let's get started. I hope everybody is doing well. If you're here in Texas, I hope you are dealing with the heat. I am not dealing with it very well, if I'm being completely honest. I have not ventured outside. I doubt I will venture outside until I absolutely have to. It is ridiculous weather that we're dealing with in the upcoming week. So I hope you are all staying cool. If you're in the southern hemisphere where it's getting cold, I hope you are staying warm, but I hope you're all being healthy. So let's jump right into it this month, I should say. So this is my June update. So I worked on about 7 or 8 projects. Let me count. 9. I worked on 9 projects this week. I had one new start this month, I should say. One new start, which is a new sal, and one finish. I finished a Heaven and Earth Designs. Now it is by no means like an Amy Stewart level, max color, max size, all of those things. But it is a finish of a Heaven and Earth Designs, which I'm really proud of. It's my first full coverage, my first completion of a full coverage. So I'm really excited for that. So let's show you that one. So this is the Faces of Faery, Jasmine Beckett Griffith. So Faces of Faery 201, or the Black Swan. Here is what it looked like the last time you saw it. I was so close to a finish. If you're not aware, I decided at the beginning of this year to get this done. So what I did was, because it's pattern keeper compatible and I could see where I was at the end of last year, I could see how many stitches would it take per month to get a finish by the end of the year. So that was 850 stitches a month on average I needed to get to complete by the end of the year. I also had it in my WhipGo board where it had either 1,000 or 2,000 stitches, and that did get called, I should say, once or twice throughout this year. But then I also had a banner month, one month, where I did about 4,500 stitches. So as a result of that, I've been able to finish this early. So once again, just because it's been a little bit, this is what it looked like the last time you saw it. And this is what she looks like completed. So look at that. I haven't washed it or anything yet, but this is all complete. So this is a relatively small, I would say, Heaven and Earth Designs. It's 175 by 175. I have used all the called for floss, with the exception of the black. I wanted to try Anchor black, so I used the Anchor black for this one, but everything else is DMC. I think I did change a couple of the reds to just be what I had in stash, because they only called for 1 or 2 stitches. So I didn't want to buy a whole skein for 1 or 2 stitches, although I've probably ended up buying that skein in the meantime anyway. But I think this is just so beautiful. That, if anyone's thinking of doing this, that crown and kind of the swan at the bottom, there is so much confetti in and around that. But I think it's just so amazing that the ornament, or whatever you call it, that the swan is in, that this, you know, gives the effect of glass. I think that's just so amazing. So much talent to chart this. So she's complete. I do need to give her a wash. If anybody has any advice or a video I can look at to see one of these being washed, I know kind of the gist of it: hot water, a mild soap, so she's Dawn soap. The question I have is, I have obviously bathroom sinks, which are not huge, but I do have a big farmhouse sink. So I'm wondering, can I use that? Obviously, scrubbing the hell out of it before I put my piece in there, making sure it's, you know, completely and utterly clean before I do it. But I just feel like that might be the better way to go, because it's, you know, it's a farm sink, it's huge. So I'd be able to like lay it out, really get it submerged. Whereas I feel like in my bathroom sink, I don't think I'd be able to get it submerged really well, because they're not large sinks. But that is my finish on that piece. That was a surprise finish. I did my 850 or so stitches that I needed for the month, realized I only had about another 600 to go. So just decided, you know, I did my other goals for the month, got those out of the way, still had time, and decided to do those final 650 or so and get it finished. So that is one out of my whip pile now, which I'm very excited about. Bring my whips down just a little bit. It has also given me the drive to bring my whips down even more. So I'll go on about that a little bit later. Next up, I'm going to show my new start, which is the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Castle Homecoming sale. It is about a year-long sale. I think it's about 10 months in total, which is the way it worked out. And with a kind of medieval castle theme. It's a new start, so I don't have what it looks like, but this is clue number 1 completed. Let me bring it in. So clue number 1 done. So cute. This is using DMC and some classic Colorworks. I bought the kit, so this is all the called for. This is a 32 count Belfast linen by Picture This Plus in the color Valor. Just a fat eighth, which I've never worked on a fat eighth before. I like not having so much extra fabric flopping around. It makes it really easy. 2/2, everything 2/2, and using all the called for. Clue 2 is out. I can't get it to work in my pattern keeper, so I'll have to wait till I'm back in the office and I can print it out and just work from the paper copy. But excited for that, and hopefully I'll be able to keep up with that one. The releases don't look like they're too large, so hopefully it'll be good. Next up, I did work on my Bella Filipina Maiden of Tubbataha. I am terrible at pronouncing that. I apologize if that's wrong. But here is what it looked like the last time you saw it. And here is what she looks like now. So I came up and finished, well, I shouldn't say finished, but I've done, I'd say 99% of her skin and her face, minus the back stitch. Oh, that's the back. That's a pretty good back though, if I do say so myself. Here's the front. So, like I said, 99% of her skin is complete, minus the back stitch. And then I came over and did some of the coral over here and started on the coral up the top. I am doing the kreinik as I go for the most part. There is some that I'm, I haven't done in this, but it's, in that section. And she is absolutely stunning. Now my plan with her, if you watched my last video, I had fully finished the Mirabilia Garden Prelude and talked about how much beading was just not my thing. I had a terrible time with beading that piece. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm not going to remove all the beads, but this is a 32 count lugana in the picture Cersei by Fabrics by Stephanie, and the called for is it's a 14 count or a 28 count. So I know I will be struggling in some places to fit the beads, because if you can see in her hair, there's a lot of empty space here, there's empty space over here where there's going to be lines of beads. And I know I'm going to struggle to fit those in. So what I'm going to do for a lot of it is replace the beads with kreinik. So Sarah Stitching Mommy, hi Sarah, she made that comment on my last video to consider, a shiny floss, a fancy floss, instead of beading. So I am going to do that. I'm going to do a kreinik or a petite treasure braid and swap out the beads. I'm still, the bigger gaps you see are for treasures. So I'm still going to do the treasures because that'll be a lot easier. But where I can and where I think it makes sense, I'm going to pull out the beads and put in a kreinik or a petite treasure braid. So I do need to take myself at some point to my LNS, because this is not something I want to do, on 1, 2, 3 stitch online. I want to be able to see the beads in my hand, and I want to then be able to go through the kreinik and petite treasure braid options to pick the closest or the ones that make the most sense. I think that's the right approach to take. But yeah, Bella Filipina, my first Bella Filipina, everything 2/2. I'm not doing the skin 1/1. I did that with my Garden Prelude, didn't love it. So I think the skin looks great as 2/2. So I am keeping it that way. And this will actually be gifted to a friend of mine's sister-in-law. I was showing her my update photos and she asked if maybe I would consider it, when it's finished, if I'd give it to her for her sister-in-law. And I thought, you know what, why not? I can always stitch it again, and this is going to someone who absolutely loves mermaids, and so I know it's going to a good home. So I think I'm going to gift it once it is complete. So that's another one where I won't be able to get it done by her birthday, but I'm hoping I'd be able to get it done by Christmas time. So that's going to be my goal. And if not, she knows, you know, there's no pressure on the deadline for me, but I'm going to try and get this done by the end of the year. And I worked on that for 5 days. My next piece is Halloween Quaker by Lila Studio. I worked on this for about 3 or 4 days. Here's what it looked like the last time you saw it. This is on a 40 count Bestitchme fabric in the color Ledger, I think. No, Tsunami. Tsunami is this color. And here's where we're up to. I think this looks great. I haven't done any of the backstitch yet, so there is some backstitch in the those spider things and some other places. I haven't done any of that just yet. I will get that done. Quakers, man, Quakers are a lot. I thought this would be kind of not easy, but easier, because it's like a lot, you know, I hear people talk about it's a lot of, you know, little finishes, so you feel like it's a lot of little wins. But I don't know, I kind of sometimes just want to be able to stitch. Like, I've had so much more enjoyment stitching this Quaker than like this, because it's just so much counting and back and forth. And while this has counting, it's just kind of more of an image. And this was a bit of a beast, because the color blend, it doesn't blend, but it blended enough to make it a bit of an eyesore to do, just, you know, an eye strain, I should say, not eyesore. So I was finding myself, you know, I'd put a thread in this one and then come down and do this, and then a thread in that, and then come over and do that. So just kind of to make it easier on my eyes to be able to get it done. But what am I up to with this one? 20-something percent? 22% completed with this. No rush on that. That will get done when it gets done. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it done by Halloween this year, so that's okay. My next piece is my Stitchrovia. This is Awesome Myth. I purchased off her Etsy store. I am doing this also on a 40 count verdal from Bestitchme in the color Sand Dollar. Here's what it looked like the last time you saw it. And then here is what it looks like now. So I've got Be So Awesome, and then probably about 70 or 80% of the narwhal is done. And look at all those colors. This is an odd one. Like, the further back you go, the better I feel it looks. Close up, there's just so many different colors that you feel like it's a bit disjointed. This is in the narwhal. But once you take a step back, I think it looks really good. And I'm really liking this piece. A nice, you know, relatively quick stitch. I'm already at 67% with it. So that should hopefully be a finish by the end of the year. Next up is my Hive Rules. This is a piece I was enabled to complete by Holly, the cross-stitch addict. She was doing it, she's probably finished now, but she was working on it, and the more I would see it in her Flosstube videos, the more I was like, you know what, I really like that, I want to stitch that. I worked on this for, I think, 3 days. This is a paper pattern, so I don't have any stats other than how many days I work on it. Here's what it looked like the last time you saw it, still in the Q-snap. And now here's where I'm at. So Hive Rules, Be Sweet Like Honey, Mind Your Own, and then I think Beeswax is the next part, but I'm about a third of the way, I think. And this is on a 32 count white opalescent that I just picked up at 123 Stitch. And I think this is so good. It's a quick stitch, well, I'm calling it a quick stitch. It's nice and easy, beautiful colors. Only downside being a paper pattern, so I just don't have, you know, I like to know the counts and all of that. And I have to manually count my stitches, which I think I'll start doing. We'll see. If I don't, it's not the end of the world, is it? Okay, next up, we have my Visit Lothlorien. So this is actually now my piece where I want to finish by the end of the year. So I got my full coverage of Faces of Faery 201 completed, well ahead of schedule. That was scheduled for the end of the year. And now I want to finish another piece by the end of the year. So again, my visit Lothlorien, which here's a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. I did the math to figure out how many stitches do I need to complete by the end of the year. It is Pattern Keeper compatible, so that's easy to do. And it was like 1,300 and something. And that might seem a lot per month, but it is a very blocky piece. So that's actually really not that bad. So here is where we're at currently. So I'm all the way at the edge, and then I'm almost at the bottom. So I'm starting the visit, and then there'll be Lothlorien, and then that's the bottom. So I think there's maybe only another 10 or 20 rows below this to hit the bottom. And this is just on a 28 count Monaco that I got from Michael's, using all the DMC. And yeah, I mean, a 28 count eats the floss, doesn't it? It's so quick. So I'm glad it's a DMC piece and not a fancy floss. But I think this is absolutely great. This is by Country Magic Stitch, if I didn't say that already. I picked this up off her website. So she does have a website, Country Magic Stitch. And I have this, and I do have another piece, but I really want to get this one finished first before I start the next one. Oh, we're flying through this today. Maybe because it's, 6 o'clock at night and I want to be done. Next up, we have my Twisted Rainbow Sampler. This is by Northern Expressions Needlework. I am doing this on this is a 28 count black, I think it's a Lugana or a Joblin, just from Witchelt. Here's what it looked like the last time you saw it. And here is where I am now. So let me pull it back so I can get it all. Look at those colors. Absolutely stunning. Just the way everything kind of flows from one to the next. I love this blue at the last color that I've worked on. And I am 68% done with this. I can't remember if it was this band or the next band, where I'm now at where I'll be reducing the amount of stitches I need to do per band, per color, really. So I think this color might be the widest, and then after this, they start decreasing in size, in stitch count, I should say. So we still have, I think, some more blues, pinks, and purples, I think is really what's left of the colors. So that's that one. Beautiful colors, absolutely stunning, this piece. And this is just the cross stitch version. I did not have the bravery to attempt the specialty stitches one. Okay, now finally, the piece I worked on is my Dark Queen of the Earth by Autumn Lane Stitchery. I am doing this on the one of the called for fabric options, which is Nightshade by Under the Sea Fabrics in a 32 count linen. Here is what it looked like the last time you saw it. I have now completed part 10, and here is where she's at. Let me get her. She's huge, oh, huge. Now this really is one of those pieces where seeing it on the piece of paper looks nothing like what it looks like when when you've stitched it up. This last release we got was the corners here, and then these two magic orbs. You had the option of flowers or magic orbs. I chose the magic orb. And then also her joining into the tree, and then a little bit more of her hair up the top. And when I saw it come out, I was just kind of like, it doesn't, I didn't not like it, but it didn't blow me away. But as I stitched it up, I was like, holy crap, this is beautiful. The picture just didn't do it justice at all. And I mean, you hear that a lot with cross stitch, that the pictures never do the pieces justice, because a photo can only do so much. Seeing it in person, and the way these vines can look like they're draping, and these orbs look like they're glowing, and sometimes a picture just doesn't pick that up. But all up to date. I did mess up a little bit. I mean, you can't tell. I was just around. Oh god, this is so big. I don't know where to hold it. Where? Let me see from here. So from here and then working up, I'm one stitch too low, and I didn't figure that out until this was months ago now, till I got all the way like here. And I was like, I am not unpicking all of that. So it's just been a bit of fudging, taking out a row here and there to make it kind of fit, to make these, you know, make sense. And I mean, I don't think, you can't tell. You cannot tell, but this is Dark Queen of the Earth. We'll have part 11 come out sometime next week, on the 1st at some point. I'm ridiculously proud of myself for keeping up with this because this is a big piece. I haven't calculated how many stitches the whole piece is, but I probably could, and I'll put it on the screen. I'll do the math and I'll put the number on the screen for you. But so proud of myself. Like I said, part 11 comes out, you know, on or around July 1st. And if it's the same as they did with the Dark Queen of the Sea, which I'm not saying it is, they may change it up, but for the Dark Queen of the Sea, part 11 was the last stitching part, and then part 12 was backstitch and beading. So you've all heard my thoughts on beading, so we'll see how much beading there is. If it's not too much, I will do it. This is a vertical piece, so I do find that potentially easier for me to bead because I can put it in my scroll frames. Part of my problem with Garden Prelude was my scroll frames were not wide enough for me to put it on, so it just became very difficult for me to do. You know, I was having to hold them with my hand. It was a mess. Whereas this is vertical, so it will fit into my scroll frame, so it could make my life a little bit easier. But if not, I'll find a fancy floss and fill in the stitches with just normal crosses, but that's what we'll do there. So that is everything I worked on for the month of June. It is only the 20-somethingth, but I'm filming this because I do have plans this weekend and work for the next few days. It's just a little bit hectic, so I won't be able to film before I go away. So that's why I'm filming early, and I'll just put whatever I've done at the end of this month into my video for July. I'm hoping to also have an unboxing for you in July of the Frogwarts box from Black Needle Society. I'm very excited to receive that. I think about mid-July is what we're expecting for that one. My haul for this month, I only have one piece. It is my fabric of the month from Bestitchme, which I'm sure you've probably all seen from other people. I get the 40 count verdal. I'm in the Neutrals Club, and for the month of May, because it was last month, it was Bronze Age. So here's what it looks like, just a beautiful neutral. I find it so amazing the way verdal dyes in comparison to like a linen. I know Bridget, the museum stitcher, she gets the linen 40 or 46 count or something, and they look completely different. Like it's amazing to think that what's most likely the same formula, you know, if it could be, you know, 2 teaspoons of this, 2 teaspoons of that color, you know, you're putting the same into each, how just different they come out. It's crazy. But I like this, like I said, great neutral. Will be able to be used, I should say, on so many different pieces. I just need to find the right one, and if I can fold this back into some semblance of what it looked like. So that's everything I worked on. That's my haul. One piece. I can be very proud of myself, I suppose. I did want to talk about my plans. So my plans for the rest of June and early July is obviously to do my Whipco pieces. We had 3 numbers called this month because number 13 was called, and that's either a free space in the way Jessie Marie kind of had originally set up the Whipco world, or you could put something in there. For me, I had it as a free space, so it's a free space. I'll put something in there, and then 13 and 9. So it is, for the pieces that were called for me, was to do 1,000 stitches on my alternative reality and 1,000 stitches on a frosted pumpkin. So I have 2 frosted pumpkin pieces. I normally try to keep to 1 piece per designer, but then stitch alongs throw that out. So stitch alongs counts kind of in addition. So I do have the Castle Homecoming that I've got the release that I could do now and count that, but I also have Maple Lane. That's the other piece that I'm doing. So I may choose Maple Lane for that piece just to make sure that's getting some progress, Castle Homecoming will get progress because I know I really want to try and stay caught up with all my stitch alongs. There's 2 and one of them's about to be finished. But I do want to try and stay caught up, so I might keep that separate. Castle Homecoming might also be a good one for me to take away because it's smaller. I can put it in my small Q-snap, which I like very much. So I might take that away with me. Alternative reality, I'm not taking that away with me. There's too many flosses. It's 90 something colors, too much to take away. So that will stay home and I'll work on that while I'm at home. And then part 11 for Dark Queen of the Earth, I will be doing that. I'll be doing my 1400 stitches on Visit Lothlorien. And then I was thinking, so there's a floss tuber I only discovered about a month or 2 ago, and it's Lauren of Flossabilities. She's from the UK. I love me some Lauren. She's fantastic. I love her mom that she calls Mama Flossabilities. I think that's absolutely adorable. And I hope, Lauren, you bring your mom on more. Or if your mom wants to come on more, I hope she does. But her channel, she doesn't have a lot of whips. I think she says she only has about 6. And she has a great rotation that she puts them through. You know, she has a certain amount of days assigned. So I think she has like an ornament piece that gets 3 days. And then everything else gets 5. And I think one piece gets 7. So she's really getting good progress. And that's one thing I do think I do well, is get progress on things. I'm not the type of person that picks up a piece and puts 10 stitches in and then leaves it for months. You know, I might do that on a day if I'm just not feeling well, or it's been a hectic day in my eyes, or, you know, and this is a guilty pleasure, if I'm watching a K-drama, I need to read the subtitles because I do not speak Korean. So, you know, maybe I'm stitched on a piece that's only got 1. If you do have any K-drama recommendations, please send them my way. Absolutely addicting. I love them. But, you know, I like to see progress on my pieces. Sorry to segue. I like to see progress because I want to see these pieces finished. Even if it then takes me a couple of months to frame and to fully finish, I'm okay with that. But I want them to be finished. You know, I'm paying a lot of money in some cases, or money anyway, and I'm putting my time, sometimes my blood, sweat and tears into these pieces. You know, who hasn't shoved a needle under their fingernail too many times to count? It hurts real bad. Or, you know, been so frustrated as you're ripping out stitches because you've done something in the wrong color, or you're 1 stitch off, or half a stitch off. That's the worst one. 1 stitch off, you can often make work depending on where it is and how you've done it. Half a stitch off, you cannot make work, which is a nightmare to then come back and have to redo everything. But where was I? I'm so sorry. I'm so flighty today. So Lauren, I really admire the way she is so kind of regimented, but in, you know, in a good way. And I'm not, you know, against anybody who is that one who wants to pick up and put 10 stitches in something and, you know, then not work on it for months. It's your project, it's your life. If that's how you do your life, that's how you do your life. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, I was watching some of her older episodes, and she has a couple of Chris Dunn full coverage pieces that she'd been working on. And one piece, she was like, oh, I'm 30,000 stitches away. I can get that done in like 3 months or something like that. And I was like, holy crap. And she did, I think, you know, maybe a month she was off, but, you know, she really like worked out, this is how many stitches I need to do. And she did it. And, you know, that's really admirable. So I want to try and do that more. I have my monthly pieces. So we have any sales, that's a monthly thing that I, you know, want to, you know, not need to, but I want to be able to complete within the month that the release is released. So that's my Castle Homecoming and Dark Queen of the Earth, which only has 2 months left. So that'll be off my rotation soon enough. I want to do the 1400 on Visit Lothlorien. But then I also want to, my next oldest piece, if that's the worst English in the world that I just said, is my Twisted Rainbow Sampler. So that's my current oldest piece, because Faces of Faery is finished. So the next one is that. And I feel like once I get over the hurdle of this next band, which I still think is about 1700 stitches of this color, sorry, after that, you know, the numbers kind of start to drop down quite dramatically. I don't know if I want to yet put that into the rotation of finish by the end of the year, or finish in, you know, X amount of months. Which idea I got, I should say, from Jessie Marie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She I think last year is the first year I remember her kind of doing it, where she had taken her, was it Bluebeard's Princess? Mirabilia or Mirabilia, where she had then broken it up into 12 sections to be able to complete by the end of the year, and she's doing it again with another piece for this year. So that's where I got the idea to do that for Faces of Faery. I'm doing it with Visit Lothlorien, so I kind of feel like I want to do that a bit more, find these pieces that, you know, I want to finish, you know, especially the bigger ones. Alternative Reality is one of them. It's over 100,000 stitches, I think. So I can't just put a couple hundred stitches in that every couple of months and expect to have it finished before I'm 90. You know, my family is very long lived, thankfully, but I just don't think I'll be able to be stitching at 90. I already can't see. I wear very strong contacts, so I don't know what my vision will be like at that age. So I want to try and, even if it's only a couple hundred, you know, I think Lauren said from Flossabilities, she has a piece where she does 100 a day. She is on that piece, I think, working in like a section of sky, which is only 1 or 2 colors, I think. So that's easy to get. But I think that's what I'm going to do once I knock out some of these bigger pieces of Visit Lothlorien and my Twisted Rainbow Sampler is for, what is it? Alternative Reality, that's what I'm talking about. Bring that in to be a monthly, get a certain amount of stitches in it, and then also keep it in my WhipGo board. So if I have it as WhipGo with, you know, a month here where it's 2,000 stitches, but then every other month of the year it's getting 500 stitches, I should be getting good progress. And I'm not one that's, okay, 500 stitches, boom, down. If it's, you know, midday, I shouldn't say midday, but if it's like 3 o'clock on a Saturday and I don't feel like switching out the piece, I'll just keep working on that past the 500 stitches or whatever number I give. So that's why I sometimes get these little bit more than what's necessary on my work. So that's what I want to do. I don't know if I'll join more sals. It'll, you know, if the mood strikes me, I will. But that is my plan for July and pretty much the rest of the year, is to just continue working on everything, get progress on stuff so I can get things finished and then bring in new things to do. Because who doesn't love a new start and who doesn't love a finish, you know? I had that finish hangover for the Mirabilia. I have not had the finish hangover for the Faces of Faery Heaven and Earth designs. If anything, it really kind of spurred me. That's why I looked at, okay, the next one's going to be Visit Lothlorien, and what's the next one after that, and what's the next one after that. So thank you everybody for joining this rather rambly session. If you made it this far, you know, shoot me a thumbs up in the comments, or a cute little emoji, maybe the emoji of someone, you know, dying from heat, because that's what we're dealing with in Texas here for the next week. You know, temperatures of over 100 degrees, which is never fun. My apartment complex has a pool, but even now I think the pool's already like bath water, and I may as well just sit in the bath where there's not a bunch of 20 somethings around me, you know, drinking and being rowdy. But that's, stay cool everybody. Have a great evening. Have a great 4th of July to those of you in this part of the world. I hope it is an amazing one. You see some great fireworks. I'm hoping I'm going to see some great fireworks. But thanks. Bye everybody. Have a good one.